77 public longforms, 13 exclusive longforms for Patreon, 6 exclusive Edinburgh Fringe shows, 1 exclusive show from Vienna, 37 live streams from stage, 125 longforms total. One timeline. I figured I would make another one of these videos at some point, but not so soon. However, I recently completed a binge of everything Shoot from the Hip have ever posted or been featured in, bar AJ's horror stuff because I'm a wuss, and that included their Patreon content. So naturally, I figured I'd add the Patreon exclusive longforms to the timeline, and it felt rude not to include the longforms from their live streams as well, especially when so many of them are adored by fans. I'm looking at you, Snake Hips and Crochet Wars. And I figured, since we won't be getting a new longform this week because of Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Fireballs, which you should definitely watch if you haven't already, now would be the perfect time to make this, because it wouldn't immediately be outdated come next Sunday. Well, see how true of a statement that is by the time this goes up. No, not the fact that you should watch Lock, Stock if you haven't already. You should do that, but more so that Lock, Stock episode coming out this week. Well, I have no idea, since obviously I haven't edited this yet. Okay. If you haven't seen the original video I posted, that's okay. You don't need to watch this video, as I will essentially be going over the same thing here as I did there. It'll just be more up to date and hopefully less rambly. If you can't tell, this part is scripted. It won't stay that way, but I figured I wanted to get this intro as right as possible. So let's get into how I went about making this. Firstly, I created this with the idea that all the longforms take place in the same universe, but it doesn't have to be viewed that way. Secondly, obviously, if a date is stated in the longform itself, I will just be set then. Thirdly, if there's only one mention of a modern thing in a play, clearly set in the past, I have elected to ignore it for the general setting, as it's safe to say it's more so there for us than the characters. Key examples of this would be Amanda saying that Tarquin resembles Superman in Lost in Your Eyes, and the mention of TikTok in The Neighbours Under the Bed. Fourthly, if the modern day reference is the only thing indicative of the time period, then I will use it to place a longform in the timeline. For example, Cotton Eye Joe in The Woolen Warrior, that's a live stream longform, and Duolingo in The Ingredients. Fifthly, if there's no clear time period but the longform still seems vaguely modern, I will just set it when it was posted or streamed for simplicity. Is that a bit lazy? Potentially, but I've put a lot of effort into this and allowed shortcuts. Sixthly, if Shoot from the Hip says that a longform takes place at a certain time outside of the longforms themselves, in things like Q&As, then I will try and make those work as well as possible. Seventhly, I built this off of my headcanons for the longforms, so it is slightly biased. However, I feel like my headcanons only really affect 4 longforms, but even then the timeline isn't affected that much. I feel it's worth mentioning now that I am aware that someone did this before with better production quality, so Phoebe's video and channel will be linked in the description, as well as my original video and a playlist with the public longforms in the timeline order I'm about to explain. When I come to a longform from Patreon, I will give a basic summary of the plot so that those who don't have Patreon will understand the context of why I placed it there. Shout out to Melly253 for the suggestion. I won't be too detailed so that if you do one day get the Patreon, you're not completely spoiled. If you see me looking off to the side in this video, like I'm doing now, it's because I've written explanations for why I've placed plays where they are, and I'll be reading them off. I believe that's everything I thought was important to cover, so now the scripture section is complete. Oh, and my name is Milo, or you can also call me Sobs, and I do think that's everything. So now we'll just get on to the timeline itself. Right, first up, Bard with a Scar. I placed this here because there is no evidence for when it could take place. It could take place far in the future when it was released, or far in the past, like where I've put it here. Also, going off the longforms existing in the same world, I like to believe that this This is what it looked like before human involvement, and over time it became more like our world with hints of the magic that once resided in it, i.e. the elves, Marjorie and all witches, and Persephone our sisters. How do YouTubers continuously just talk forever? My throat hurts, and we're only like 6 minutes in. Also, say hi to Daisy. If she yowls, I apologize. She's very loud. Right, next play. 70 with an actual date. 73 BC. Caesar and Juliet. In real life, Caesar was assassinated when he was 55 in the year 44 BC, and since he died at 26, the year must be 73 BC. Right. Now we're on to our first Patreon show, which was a live stream, streamed 27th of July 2025, Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me, which is set in 1077. In this play, a German character played by Sam, who I can't remember the name off the top of my head, has been captured by a English lord because he stole some bread to feed his family. And the English lord is played by Luke. And I wish there was more of a complex reason why I put it in 1077, but simply put, the date was given in the play. I do enjoy when it is that easy. Just like in the next one, in 1719, Moist Magical, the year is given. 1807. Another Patreon live stream that was streamed 19th of October 2025. The Burning Spider, as I said, set in 1807. In this, it's very much Dracula inspired, as in an accountant, English accountant played by Luke, is going to a manor in Latveria, I think, from what I remember, to be this count's in Latveria's accountant. As I said, very Dracula inspired, and it's set in 1807 because that is the year given. Next play, 1816. We Love Poetry. This was the year when this is a year where both King George III was ruling and Byron was alive. Since Percy does say that address the crowd as the subjects of George III, so we know that had to be when he was ruling. And he'd also Franklin points out that Percy has a quill that was gifted to him by Byron. And 1816 is when Byron published a poem. I can't remember which one. Still, I'll put it up here, and so I definitely know he's alive. And yeah. And then now we have a Patreon exclusive Longform, which is the Bamboozler of Notre Dame, which I've put in 1860. Now, in this play was set mostly in French, because obviously Notre Dame, and basically Tom's rich English posh guy steals the bells of Notre Dame in order to make Big Ben better. And 1860 was the year after Big Ben finished construction. It is also stated in the play that it is set in the 19th century, so 1816 felt like a good year. Right, 1867, We're Cowboys. In the Q&A for this long form, Luke says this long form would take place after the Gatling gun was invented, but before the 1900. So I put it in 1867 because that's a year after the Gatling gun was invented, and also after the American Civil War. I feel like if the American Civil War would have come up if it was relevant, Right, 1870s. Marigolds, Bluebells, and Hume. The decade is given. Right. Now, 1874, what I found in the chimney. This is the year before chimney sweeping was banned with the 1875 Chimney Sweeping Act, and I feel like the events of the play would contribute to that. In real life, the act was enacted because a kid ended up suffocating in a chimney, and which is horrible. But also at the same time, if there were other two kids who were using chimney sweeping as a scam to kill a bunch of people, especially rich people, I feel like that would contribute entirely to chimney sweeping being banned. Right, then 1875, Jack the Stripper, the year is given. Though, funnily enough, since it is 1875, it would actually take like 20 place before Jack the Ripper killed, which I assume neither of them knew when they picked that date, unfortunately. But someone pointed out in the comments of the video, I can't remember who, that it would actually, if it was actually taking place 20 years after the Jack the Ripper murders, it would have been set in, I think, the 1910s. Yeah, that's how maths work. Oh, maths. If the intro thing didn't make sense with the whole, like, math-wise, for like 37 long forms, 125 long forms total, it is because some long forms were originally live streams. Like, obviously most of the early long forms were Bill Murray streams. Bill Murray's key examples: Premises, First Day, Burglary and Bobsledding. Obviously, there's Lemons on Plane. So if that number doesn't particularly line up, that's why. But I reassure you, there are 125 long forms in total. At least the ones that are online. They've obviously done thousands of them on stage. They either didn't film or just didn't make the cut. Right. So after Jack the Stripper in 1892, Death for $1. In the play, it is stated by Bill that the events with the bandits, Luke's scene as Bill, take place in 1854. However, since Bill is canonically an unreliable narrator and he's drunk, I've chosen to ignore this and instead go with this being Bill's birth year, like the bartender says. With this in mind, I've chosen to believe that Bill was 20 when the bandits attacked, which would make the year 1874, when he was arrested. For simplicity's sake, we will say he escapes rather quickly and spends a year in Mexico, where he marries Maria and has Danny soon after that. I don't believe that Bill's dad found him. Instead, he was either deported or that the authorities found him and took him back to the US to finish his sentence. Maria follows her either pregnant or with a baby Danny. Bill then spends 7 years in prison before he's given the opportunity to deal with the bandits as a way to gain his freedom. I think this because this event takes place 10 years before the bar scene, when Danny is 17 then, so he would have been 7 when the bandits first attacked. I doubt that Bill would willingly not associate with his son. This would make the year that the bandits attacked 1882 and the bar scenes 1892. The reason that Danny was 7, obviously, 7 when the bandits attacked, was because he says that he was that old when the bandits attacked, and obviously we learn that later in the play that Danny is Bill and Maria's son. So logically, in my mind, it makes more sense that Bill spent that time in prison instead of like willingly avoiding his son and wife for that long. And to add to the bar scenes taking place in the early 1890s, this is around the time that the chair was invented, and since Bill is actively harboring a criminal, it's probably on his mind, which is why he claimed that that's what killed Maria in the first place, because that's a genuine fear he has. This is my thoughts about it. Please feel free to discuss in the comments what you think of that. Yeah. Right, so then next play, in 1895, the off-season, the year is given. So we just know that's when it's set. Now another Patreon live stream, which streamed the 24th of July 2023, Snake Hips, which I've placed in 1898. In this play, there is a small town that is being attacked by a criminal who is known as Snake Hips, because he, as a child, was caught in an accident which ended up with snakes shot into his hips, and then they ended up healing together, so now they are attached to his hips. He's also potentially immortal because he's like hundreds of years old. But yeah, and Snake Hips makes a habit of killing every sheriff in town, which is why he's a threat. And as I stated in the intro, this Longform is extremely popular. This is the character that Tom plays in the Escape the Vault D&D campaign that they did for Patreon. If you have Patreon but haven't watched this live stream yet. Now, it's set in 1898 because that's the year that is given. Right, 1905, the Haunted Diary entry, that is the year given. And then I've also put in this year the final Baker of Baker Street, because Sherlock references he and Moriarty going over the waterfall, and the book was published after that happened, where it came out in 1905. Also, funny enough, that book where Moriarty and Sherlock go over the waterfall, that was intended to be the last Sherlock book, but then Arthur Conan Doyle basically got harassed into bringing the character back and continuing the series, which is upsetting, but knowing how the industry is currently, it's not that surprising. Alright, 1913. Lost in Your Eyes. If you watched the original video, you know that I have put this, I have changed this, because originally I had this in 1899, and that's not for any specific reason, it's just because I picked the year that the washboard, which is what Sam's using in the first scene, was invented, and the era when it started going out of fashion, and I put a random number generator and it gave me 1898. But then when I rewatched it for this video specifically, I remembered, well, obviously they mentioned the crossword, so I looked it up, and 1913 is the year that the crossword was invented. So that is the earliest it could take place while still, using the washboard. And yeah. Also happening in 1913 is the most recent Patreon exclusive play, Shade and Shenanigans. In this play, Lady Lisa Darrenforth is played by Luke, is being pursued by suitors due to having inherited a lot of wealth from her presumably deceased husband. The first suitor we see is Mark, who is played by Tom. She's steadfast in not getting married again because, well, one, she's still mourning her husband, but also still believes that he could feasibly still be alive because they never found his body in the quarry accident. And I don't know how much detail I should go into because I don't want to spoil the long form because it's really good, and I think the best way to experience it is blind. But what you should know is that her late husband is called Quentin, and he's also stated to be the Duke of Cornwall. And for those of you who don't know, and seemingly this includes Shoot from the Hip themselves, this is a title that is reserved specifically for the heir of the British throne. Currently, the person who owns it is Prince William. And previously before that, obviously King Charles. This was the Shade and Shenanigans was specifically a period drama, so that's why I'm bringing up the fact it was royalty, because we're never given a specific date for it, but we know it's a historical, so I went off of when the first picture was ever taken of the royal family, and that was taken, of the royal family member in general, that was 1842. So we know it needs to take place after that for the picture to exist. And then in the second scene, we got Mark and another Lord character played by AJ are seen drinking martinis, and the martini was created around 1870 and was popularized in the early 20th century, so having it set in 1913 aligns with that. And 1913 was the last year that the horse-drawn carriage was used in the UK, so no, it can't be any later than that, so 1913 feels like a safe bet. Yeah, and also a point across to Quentin being a prince. Presumably the throne has passed to someone else at this point because he's been presumed dead for let's say 50 years by the start of the play. No, 53 years. Next year, which we are just given year, 1815, January, the leftmost window, the year is given. Then 1816, January 27th, ballot on the battlefield. We are given the year, and we are expressly told that it is taking place on Kaiser Wilhelm's birthday, which is January 27th. It might be taking the day like a couple of days after the 27th, like the very last scene, because I don't know how long travel-wise it would be to go from like Germany to Russia in the 1910s, so it is probably like a couple of days after that, but like around, but it can't be before January 27th, right? This is the long form that includes like headcanons, and I think there's 2 long forms that take place this year, which might be a bit contentious, but we'll get onto the first one. So 1922, August, Priscilla's final petal. This placement is based off of my headcanon that Annabelle, Priscilla's bio-mum, is the daughter of Inga and Hugh from Marigold's Bluebell and Hugh. The main reason I headcanon this is because of Annabelle's connection to the Buttercups. If Annabelle was their daughter, that would make her the granddaughter of the Bluebell King, which would make which would give her a natural affiliation to flowers. Maybe when she died and they buried her, the buttercups sprouted from her grave. Rumpole figured out the connection to the Bluebell King and what would happen when all the petals from buttercups are removed and stuck around. And originally, I was worried about how old that would have made Annabelle when Priscilla would have been born. But I figured that out halfway through the video, actually. Well, I don't know if it was halfway through, I can't remember specifically. But I will just reiterate the explanation that I had there. Sorry. Alright. Let's assume that Priscilla is 10 during the events of the play, which we're going to place in 1922 for the sake of my headcanon. This means she would have been born in 1912. I was worried at first that this would have made Annabelle too young to have a daughter, if she was Inga and Hugh's child. But depending on when Hugh and Inga have her, she would have been in her 20s or 30s. According to my research, aka Google, people in the 1800s were having children as early as 20. That can also go to support why I think Bill was in his early 20s when when he married Maria and had Danny. As a side note, which I realized I think right before I started filming, though I think it was probably younger in reality. So using that as a point of reference, Inga and Hugh would have had Annabelle 10 years after the events of Marigold, Bluebells and Hugh. Pardon me. Saying that the play took place in 1817, Annabelle would have been born in 1880, making her 32 in 1912. Then on the other end of that, saying that the play took place in 1879, the latest it could possibly be, this means Annabelle was born in 1889, making her 23 in 1912. And while that is young to have a child by today's standards, it wouldn't have been in 1912. So Annabelle was anywhere between 23 and 32 when she had Priscilla. I have it in 1922 specifically because of a different headcanon, and that makes a bit more sense if it's the year right before Germany is affected by hyperinflation. Also, it's in August because that's when buttercups bloom. Woo! I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Right, next play which I also have in this year, which I've moved from my original timeline video, if you watched that and will have noticed, and this one's going to be a bit contentious. Never Give Annabelle a Gun, which originally I had placed in the 1914 to accommodate for the headcanon that Danny the bartender in Annabelle is also the same Danny in Death for Dollar, as well as basing off of the spoilers, the epilogue of Red Dead Redemption, the first game. But the reason I've now placed it in 1922 is around the time when helium was first used to fill balloons, and the last year horses were used for transport in the US, as far as I can tell based off of Google. So I needed a year that would make sense for Danny being there and having a fully grown daughter and grandson. Well, obviously the grandson isn't fully grown. Putting it here would make Danny 47 during the events of this play, which feels like a good age for the character of the bartender. Let's assume that Danny did the same thing as his dad and had a daughter around 20. So that would make her 27 during the play, and it's safe to assume her son is 3 or 4. Yeah, and putting it in 1927 does make the daughter a little bit older than it would in 1914, so it feels more right for and more comfortable for her to have a child at this point. And then next play, 1925, the Great Depression, the year is given, and then 1927, The Mystery of the Midnight Circus, which I have here because this was the year that the last Sherlock book was written by Arthur Conan Doyle came out. And I do realise in this play, Sherlock does say that we are all subjects under Her Majesty, suggesting that it is taking place when Queen Victoria ruled. But for one, I think he canonically has some sort of memory issue, whether that's dementia or Alzheimer's, or there's another one that I can't remember, which is bad that I can't remember because that's what my grandpa died of. So it's entirely possible that the reason he thinks that she's still ruling is because of this memory loss problem, and also feasibly with thinking of Quentin in mind, it's entirely possible that there's just like an altered royal family in the Shoot from Hitler. So feasibly, there could be another queen after Queen Victoria. I don't know who that would have been feasibly in real life. History nerds, please tell me. I would love to know. I love history. If you can't tell by the detail I put into this playlist, I guess it is also a playlist. This is another Patreon exclusive long form, which I put in December of 1930, The Mystery of the Cloud House, which is the earliest it could have been. This is a western which is set around this cloud house, which is basically giving this town electricity, which is allowing them to create cartoons. And Looney Tunes is directly referenced, and 1930 is the year that Looney Tunes first aired. The one issue with it setting it in 1930 is because the main Looney Tune that is mentioned is Taz, the Tasmanian Devil, the one who spins around a lot. And he was first introduced in the 1950s, and also Sam's character makes a reference to the main character, the main actor from It's a Wonderful Life, which I think also came out in the 50s. So feasibly, this play could also take place during the 50s, but I feel like the town wouldn't be as worried about or dependent on this one house for electricity if it was any later than 1930, since I think this was a couple years before the Great Depression as well. Yeah, so. And I have it in December, which I'm flimsy about because one of the main plot points is the fact that a bunch of choir children and an innkeeper's husband, who we never actually get closer of what happened to him, went missing in December of the year before. And at the end, Sam's character does say to Tom's character that she saved Christmas, so that does imply that it is also December, that it's December again. But feasibly, it could take place at any time of the year. Right. 1932, the most recent long form to come out as of recording, Jazz Vampires. Originally, I had the set in the 2060s because Drum Jerry is stated to have been alive before Jazz existed, and Appleby, AJ's character, Drum Jerry is Luke's character, says that Jazz has existed for around 150 years. Jazz, as we know it in New Orleans, according to Wikipedia, started in the 1910s. So 150 years after that would be the 1960s. However, during the Q&A for this long form, AJ said that this is set at the same time as Sinners, which is 1932, hence it being in 1932. I know Jazz existed before, obviously, as we know it, in New Orleans. So most likely that is what Luke is referring to, or I guess Appleby is referring to in general. Also, with this long form, we need more werewolf Luke, or just supernatural long forms in general, because they're so much fun. And also, I'm not the only one who felt tension between like the French vampire Sam was playing and then Drum Jerry, right? Like that wasn't just me. They definitely had a past at some point, maybe before Jerry was a werewolf. We'll see. Spoilers if you haven't seen that yet. I don't know how long ago it came out when this goes up, but sorry if I spoiled it. Right, 1942. Oh my god, is this a joke? The year is given. And then next play long form we have is from an Edinburgh Fringe show from 2024, which was August 3rd, which is Keith the Delivery Guy, which is a World War II epic. And Keith is a delivery guy in World War II. That's basically summarizes the plot really a lot. It's obviously the Edinburgh Fringe shows are always a bit shorter, so there's not really much more to say about the plot in general, but yeah, this clearly takes place fairly early in the war, as Keith's parents weren't aware of what was going on until Keith tells them he's clearly he's leaving, and a literal bomb drops on their home. Well, not on their home specifically, right outside it, which ends up killing Keith's dad. But the Americans have already joined the war, so it has to take place after December 1941. And 1942 feels like it's early enough for Keith's parents to have no idea what's going on, and no one acting surprised that Americans are being there. So feasibly, oh my god, is this a joke? And Keith the Delivery Guy could be happening at the same time. Oh, that's something I forgot to mention. World War One clearly went very differently in the Shoot from the Hip verse, because the English seemingly it only lasted like a year, like just over a year potentially. I can't remember. Actually, no, under a year for the English, but the Russian and Germans kept fighting like a year longer, seemingly, and then it ended proper with Kaiser Wilhelm's death, which isn't how the World War II ended in real life. I'll tell you that much. Kaiser Wilhelm didn't die until like in the middle of World War II, not because he was fighting, but because he had like I think some sort of condition of disease which ended up killing him, and his family is still alive actually. Obviously not ruling Germany anymore, but as far as I'm aware, his descendants are still fine, probably living in somewhat luxury, because as far as I'm aware, Wilhelm didn't lose that much when he abdicated. I don't know. That's one of the reasons why the war ended, because the German government forced Wilhelm to abdicate. I think, from what I remember briefly from my GCSE classes, which was a couple years ago at this point. Right, 1945, which is a play from a live that was streamed 16th of March 2025, Disaster in the Dark, which is set in London during the Blitz. Yeah, and also in this play, the war ends in the long form. Yeah. Sam's character is someone who makes sure that all of the lights go out like after dark, so that to like prevent bombing, and he takes that way too seriously, and ends up like killing a couple of people who he assumes are German, and he ends up nearly attacking like 3 people who ended up like locking themselves into like either a bunker or potentially a bank. He accused them of being German, and the plot goes on from there. And also Tom's playing a child who ends up joining him in trying to get to these supposed Germans to come out so that they can kill them. Yeah. And then 1946, another Patreon exclusive, Oh No, That's a Door. It's stated, this is another play that was set during World War II, obviously, and at the beginning of the play, these 3 kids are being evacuated from London for some reason in 1945 instead of earlier. I know it's 1945 because Sam's character says it's 1945. So they're going to their grandmother's house, who they haven't met before, and the eldest, who turned 18 the day before the play is set, so that's why he hasn't gone off to fight, and also he doesn't want to leave his brothers alone because one of them is 13, the other one is 8. But then his grandmother tasks him with something when he arrives. And then I know it's set in 1946 because by the end of the play, there is a 1-year time skip. Next play, 1950s, though it could take place like late 1940s. The Detectives versus the Christmas Tree Bandits. Rupert Sr. was said to have fought in World War II, and that World War II is over, so early 1950s felt right, though it could take place in the late 40s as well. Plus, the Longform is clearly a film noir, or at least in that style, vaguely, and those are typically set in the early 1940s or late 50s. Next play is another Patreon exclusive show from the Edinburgh Fringe 2024, which was uploaded the 31st of July. This long-form set in 1962, and it is called The Windows Cleaner's Revenge, which opens in a very similar way to what I found in The Chimney, with AJ's character cleaning the windows of a female character played by Tom. Except AJ's character is an 8 this time. It's just that he had been cleaning Tom's character's windows since he was like 8 or 9, so they're done out. So the dynamic Tom wanted shifts very drastically after he learns that information for obvious reasons. AJ's character, the window cleaner, obviously cleans the Tom's character's windows, and this was the first time that it apparently came to her attention that he had never gone to school, and so they have a conversation about that, and due to that conversation, AJ ends up missing, not cleaning certain windows, which greatly disappoints his mum and stepdad, who both come from a long lineage of window cleaners. And his bio dad was known as the most handsome window cleaner in existence. So he's got 2 legacies of window cleaning to uphold, and apparently that includes not going to school. Right, and I have it in 1962 because it is stated to take place in the 1960s, and the main character's dad is said to have been in Germany when World War II broke out, which is what led to his death. Tom's character states that she hasn't been washed since 1961, so we know it has to take place after then. And since the main character is 23 in the long form, it has to be set in 1962, so that Tom's window cleaner character could have a son and still have gone to Germany in 1939. Next long form, which I think is one of my favourite early long forms they did, which is the Usu Daisy Balls, which is set in 1963, and the year is given. And then next one is another live stream show that was streamed 3rd of December 2023. Also is set in 1963, which is the Rambunctious Asparagus. So AJ and Tom are a married couple, and they are running an asparagus farm. AJ takes his asparagus to New York to sell them, but then while he's there, he discovers that there was this the big switch from asparagus to artichokes, because apparently there is a disease going around that is from specifically asparagus, which has caused asparagus to be outlawed, which is terrible because the AJ's farm, and both of the couple, and as well as a child that they are taking care of currently, are dependent on the profits that they get from the asparaguses. And also, since it's been outlawed, once it's discovered he has asparagus, he is arrested. And this asparagus disease is blamed for President Kennedy's death, which happened the morning of the second scene. So it has to be set in 1963. Though feasibly, they do originally say Senator Kennedy, who I know. I think there was a Senator Kennedy, I think, who did die later, but I'm not overly reversed in like the Kennedy family and their lives. I know the basics through my mum, obviously, who has an obsession with it. Or I'd say obsession, keen interest. But during the play, they do specifically refer to them as Senator President Kennedy, and I think President Kennedy was a senator before he was president, or but obviously I could be wrong. So from the way they refer to him as Senator President, which does imply to me that it is, they do mean like that President Kennedy, and obviously in real life he was assassinated in 1963, so it made sense for this to take place in 1963. Obviously, if you please comment your thoughts, because I'd love to hear them about that one specifically, because yeah. And then 1964, the pilot's final flight, the year is given. And then next one, 1973, the office affair. Originally, I was going to have this in the late 50s. However, in the play, Joe Mama and an unnamed Tom character are seen having what is clearly a phone call on handheld phones, as seen from these screenshots here. So the earliest it could have been set is 1973, because that's when handheld phones were first invented. This is also where another part of my headcanon comes in. Remember the one I mentioned with Priscilla. It is stated that Joe has other kids besides Darcy in this clip here.
Darcy, you were always smartest of my kids.
And I like to believe that one of those kids is Don Albert from We Buried the Wrong Guy. He probably tried to make the city better like Joe, but was then consumed by the want for power. And feasibly, Joe Mama could be the mother of like all of the Don characters, timeline permitting, but that one I'm a bit loose with. We never get a last name for Albert, but we do know he is Italian, so feasibly he could be Albert Magliano. You might be wondering what this has to do with Priscilla's final petal, and I will explain when we get to We Buried the Wrong Guy. Right, 1980s, beetroots and murder. The flashback segment of this long form takes place in the 1950s. We never get a confirmed date, but we know that during the flashback, Sam's character is 18, and present day, when he's in prison, he's 45. So the earliest it can take place is 1978, and the latest it can take place is 1986. Right. Next long form is another one from a stream. This time it wasn't a Bill Murray stream, it was actually streamed from the Free Association, which I think is a comedy club that was created by KBF. Which, good for her. Yeah, and this is their, as far as I'm aware, their first performance there, though I'm not sure. And this long form had obviously both had KBF and also Will Dixon. I think that's his last name. So the guitar guy from Where Cowboys, if you follow Straight from the Hip on Instagram, they posted a story a couple of days ago of them with Will Dixon. So we're gonna at some point get another long form with Will Dixon in it, which I'm looking really forward to because I love his guitar playing, saying in Where Cowboys. And also in that same long post, we got an image of Sam in his new shirt with Scarlett's face on it, because he's on it, which is nice. For those of you who aren't aware, Jay, Sam's wife, is planning on getting a shirt with a picture of Scarlett's face on it for Sam from all of her birthdays up until she's 18, which I find adorable. And yeah, and her birthday is in March. I think this might have actually been streamed either on or like very close to Scarlett's birthday, which is it was streamed on March 5th, 2026. I don't know off the top of my head what Scarlett's birthday is, but I do know she was born in March, which is interesting. This long form is called The Tale of the Danish Beagler. A beagler is apparently someone who herds beagles, according to the person who suggested this. And in the long form, basically, the Danish beagler, who doesn't sound very Danish for some reason, has like a rivalry with a sheep farmer who wants to claim the beagler's land to like expand and stuff, and also because he thinks beagling is very weird and also gory, because they tend to kill the beaglers, tend to kill the dogs in order to get their fur, apparently. Sam does say that this play takes place when Denmark owns a part of Norway, but as far as I can tell from my research, that was never the case. I think they had like a treaty in like the 1800s or something, but that's not like owning anything. But if I'm wrong and there was like a period of time where Denmark owned part of Norway, please tell me so I can rearrange this. I'm constantly rearranging, if it isn't obvious, by obviously Annabelle and Lost in Your Eyes moving places. So I'm perfectly willing to do this all the time. I enjoy moving the playlist around, honestly. But yeah, so instead I went off the references to Lego, communism, which funnily enough, during that like peace treaty thing between Denmark and Norway, was before communism was invented, so it couldn't have taken place for that to make references to both communism and socialism, which does come up. It also has references to the Berlin Wall, and since the Berlin Wall fell in 1898, the year felt like a safe bet, though feasibly it could take place any time since the Berlin Wall went up and since it came down. Right, next stream, which is the one I actually meant, which is the most recent Bill Murray stream, which I mentioned in the opening for this video, is that streamed 25th of April 2025. The Woolen Warrior, which I put in 1995. This has quickly become a fan favorite among the Patreon. And I really like it too, and I understand why. So in this play, we've got two Scottish families. It's set in Scotland, obviously Scottish families who are rivalry. We have the MacDonalds and the Campbells. The MacDonalds thinks that the Campbells stole from them, from what I remember, and that has persisted to 1995. And the son, who's 8 in the play, is upset by this, and also on top of that, Mr. Campbell's wife, Matilda, has run off for seemingly no reason. So the child, Tom, not played by Tom, actually played by AJ, is in a very emotionally turmoil place, because he's watching these two grown men, Mr. Campbell and Mr. MacDonald, constantly. I said Mr. Campbell, and it's like, no, it's Mr. MacDonald had his wife left. Yeah, and also Sam plays a sentient wall, which is incredible. And while Tom, AJ's character, not Tom the actor, I'm just going to say AJ's character, because if I keep saying Tom, it's going to get confusing. AJ's character goes to herd the sheep. He meets the Woolen Warrior, who says that he will answer any deep question that AJ's character asks. So he asks, where did his mother go? Which then kind of starts the plot. Yeah, and I have this in 1995 because the only modern day reference we have is Cotton Eye Joe, and this was the year after Cotton Eye Joe came out. But funnily enough, in this long form, it is revealed 30 years before the play takes place. Scotland won its independence. So originally, I was considering putting this in the year where I think in Doctor Who, Scotland becomes independent at some point. Not modern day, obviously, it's distantly in the future. So spoilers for season 4 episode 2 of Modern Who. So I thought maybe putting it there, but that felt a bit cheap, since I think only Tom would have any, like actual Tom, not character, would have any reference point of when that was. So if I don't know how many people who were alive in the 60s who live in Scotland are watching this video, but if you are, or if you are relatives of people who are Scottish who were alive in the 60s, would you say it were possible for Scotland to have wanted independence at that point? Please comment down below. I'm very interested. Right, next play in 1997, Wine Under the Bridge. The year is given. Right, 1998. I've got 2 long forms in this year. June, Highway to Hell. In the Q&A for this long form, Sam says that it takes place in the 90s. However, his character says that he read the Google reviews and Luke's reference to the motel list they have. And Luke's character reacts positively towards that, so the earliest this could take place is 1998, because that's the year that Google was launched. This could also take place in 2009, as that's when the song Hotel Reviews came out, and it was directly referenced. If you know, after the car exploded, and they say they need to go to like a hotel to like I can't remember why. Sam's character asks hotel or motel, and then Tom's character responds with Holiday Inn. I don't care. That is that's the reference to the song. But it could just be for the audience, as none of the characters say anything about the song itself. I have it in June because that's when high school typically ends in the summer in the US, from what I can tell from the media I've consumed, and I assume graduation must also take place around this time. If it doesn't, please tell me. I would like to know. September 5th, same year, I have Long John Strike. This long form feels like it's still feeling the effects of the Cold War with all the references to communism, so originally I thought it would take place in the late 80s, early 90s. But there is a direct reference to Google, so the same logic applies here that I used for Highway to Hell. I have it on September 5th because that's the actual date the long form was posted, and it feels fitting for the setting as September is when England starts to get colder, and when everyone would most want long johns if they really didn't wear anything else on their legs. Right, 2000s. Fast cars and bike bars, which I forgot to get the stream date for. I'll put it here. This, I think this was streamed in February. Yeah, so this is another, as I said, Bill Murray stream, which is about this biker gang who are planning to steal a bunch of F1 cars so that they can basically retire. Originally, I was going to place this during the Phoenix, Arizona Grand Prix, 1989 to 1991, because it's set in Phoenix and there's a Grand Prix happening there. In the long form itself, it's set in Phoenix. However, there are a lot of references to British children's TV shows, one of those being Teletubbies, which first aired in 1997. So it can't take place during the Phoenix, Arizona Grand Prix, obviously. So for the sake of simplicity, we're going to say that the 2000 to 2000 Grand Prix happened in Phoenix instead of Indianapolis, India, so that the references make sense timeline-wise. Maybe instead of 1989, the 1989 to 1991 Grand Prix happened in Indianapolis instead. I got all of those dates from Wikipedia, so if they're wrong, I do apologize. I'm not generally like an F1 fan, so F1 fans, please comment your thoughts. I would like to know what you glean from that, or if at any point you think that it's more likely that the next Grand Prix to take place in America would be in Phoenix again, please let me know so I can put it further down the timeline. But for now, 2000 feels comfortable. All right, next play, which if you watched my original video, you know, well, I don't know if I expressed it very well, but I did say that this one did upset me slightly. which was in 2003, which is obviously December 24th/25th, nutcrackers and cancelled flights. Originally, I thought this would have taken place in like the late 80s, early 90s because of the type of phone that Tom's character used, but unfortunately, Sam's character says that Nutcracker looks like Jack Sparrow, and since obviously the Nutcracker is like a main like important thing in the play itself, and it does come up again, I can't just ignore the modern day references like I would usually. So I have it in 2003, sorry, because this was the year that Pirates of the Caribbean came out, making the Nutcracker more relevant. And I was originally worried about the mine, which is another reason why I thought it would take place in like the 80s or 80s, is because obviously that's generally when the mining was like most prevalent. But the last mine in the UK was closed in 2015, meaning that characters could still work in them during the Longform, which I guess makes sense for time and place, but it makes me sad because I was so confident that this would have taken place in the 1980s, because it has that vibe, right? Like I'm not the only one who thinks it has that vibe. Please tell me I'm not the only one. Right. Next play, I've got 2004, August 14th, The Neighbors Under the Bed. Since Raccoon City is mentioned, I've decided to canonize the events of the Resident Evil franchise because it's my timeline. I can do what I want. I will not go into the detail of history of the Resident Evil timeline because that would probably make this video like 3 hours long, and frankly I do not have the time or the patience. You would find, if you want to know like the events of the Resident Evil franchise, I'm sure there is a bunch of timeline videos on YouTube. Feel free to look at those, and there will be better quality than, and probably more detailed than I see. And since I'm canonizing the events of Resident Evil, this does mean that the original players of the Raccoon football team are most likely dead. However, with that in mind, originally I had this play set in 2037 because I had just placed the football game where Martha and her husband met to be the year before Raccoon City was nuked, 1997, and then added on 30 years, so that Janae's comment about them being in a middle-aged relationship still made sense. But then I remembered that Martha had been to the globe in 1947. So there's no way that her husband could have been 10 in 1997 without things getting creepy. While I do think Martha is older than her husband, she's not that much older. So instead, I said that 1974 was the year that the football match took place, for simplicity. We'll say that Martha was 11 or 12 and her future husband is obviously 10. Then 30 years after that, after 1947, is 2004. The reason I have it placed on August 14th is because, according to Wikipedia, that's when the Premier League began in 2004, explaining what Martha's husband is doing with Rotherham Rangers when he leaves. Presumably, he's now the manager, as he's way past the normal retiring age for a football player. And as a bonus, 2004 is the year after X2 came out, the second X-Men film, so Sam's character would have been able to see it. October 6th, also in 2004, the Phantom of Holm Church. This is the year that Johnny Bravo ended and Danny Phantom started airing, and there's no way that Julian would know what either of those shows are if he was a 10-year-old in 2024. It's October 6th because that's the date it was actually posted and felt appropriate. 2012, Susan's Holiday. This was the year that Uber was launched, making it more likely to have the same Uber driver twice, which I think is a similar logic that Phoebe and I had when it came to placing this long form. That's literally the only reason it's in 2012. It could feasibly be set like much later, but I feel like it would make more sense for if it's like the first year of the company like existing, that there would just be fewer Uber drivers, meaning that you would probably see the same one more frequently. Right, 2013, which I have two long forms in this one, the ingredients, which if you watch my video, you know I've now put this a lot earlier in the timeline than I originally did. And I've done that because there's a reference to Duolingo, and while it came out in 2012, it became popular in 2013. And I couldn't find any information about when it went like global, but I presume it was global in 2013. If it wasn't, I will move it, but until I have any information otherwise, I'll put it in 2013. So the ingredient, I mentioned this one specifically in the intro, didn't I? The ingredients feels rather like timeless, so feasibly it could take place besides the Duolingo reference. There is no like reference to anything modern, so I used Duolingo to have it in 2013, and setting it, I think, when it was posted before felt a bit cheap, so now I've changed that. Right, and the other play I've got in 2013 is And So It Begun. Since I'm canonizing the events of Resident Evil, it made sense to me that the two Zombie Apocalypse Longforms would cover the events of at least some of the games. In this case, this would be Resident Evil 6, which I know is the most hated game in the franchise, but as far as I'm aware, it's also the only one where a global, or at least national, outbreak occurs. So it would make sense in my mind that And So It Begun would take place the same year the game is set. If Resident Evil fans, please give me your thoughts. Then I've got another streamed play which I've got in 2016, which was streamed 22nd of January 2024. When I rule the world, I'll plant flowers. We follow a father and son as they are hunting. The son is apparently half giant, and the dad has done everything he can to keep him away from his giant mother. But she has discovered where they are, and so is trying to kill them, basically. And then the son, who's the half giant, is set about basically dealing with her. And originally I was going to place this around the same time as Bride with a Scar due to the inclusion of fantasy creatures, but then they include both Let It Go from Frozen and the Nintendo Switch. So I placed it in the year that the Switch came out, which also coincidentally would put it in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, accounting for the dystopia-esque setting. I hope that made sense. Alright, then 2018, No Time to Die Twice. The main events of the play take place 5 years after the initial outbreak, and since we see the outbreak begin in And So It Begun, it made sense to set No Time to Die Twice 5 years later in 2018. Accounting for why Carolyn, the American mother from California, says that America is fine, it's entirely possible that California was fine, and so because of that she assumed the entirety of America was fine, but then they were quickly like overrun, or so like I can imagine like urban areas, like small communities, were probably overrun really quickly, or like because of like lack of defenses or something like that. I don't know, I'm not like an expert in American geography, so but I do know that America is really big, so it's entirely possible that some areas were like okay for a while, but then will quickly like overrun as more stuff like spread. Right, next play I have in 2021, The Cardboard Stegosaurus. I did initially place this around 10 years after the Eurotunnel was built, to account for Cliff and Mary Claire meeting and Chip's age, but then I remembered all the references to Brexit. So I placed it in 2021 because that's when Brexit was finalised, since the way that Pierre, Sam's French character, talks about it makes it feel really recent. Right, and now we're on to 2022, the year that they started actually uploading long forms. So unsurprisingly, a lot of like long forms that I wasn't able to like date like, as like from now on like set when they were published and stuff. I mean posted. I don't know why I say I mean I guess technically it means the same thing, but you know. Right, but funny enough, we start with a long form that didn't come out this year, which was Burger and Bobsledding, which I have in March. This was the year that the Winter Olympics took place prior to Longform releasing, and if a Longform references real world events that happen annually or every 4 years in this case, I tend to place it during the most recent event and then the next one for simplicity. I have it in March because it's a couple months after the Winter Olympics took place, and the European bobsleighing competition isn't a real thing, so it could happen at any time. Plus, the way they talk about it at Jorgen's funeral, it does feel as if they went from like the Winter Olympics to the funeral, and then like a couple of bits after that, the bobsleighing championships would just happen very quickly after the Winter Olympics. I hope that makes sense. And then in May, I have the Midnight Mystery. There's no reason to believe that it didn't take place the year it was posted, but I have it in May because that's when roses typically bloom. August 12th, the meringue haberdashery. There's no reason to believe this didn't take place when it was posted. The only modern day reference is Question Time, but that's been airing for years, so I couldn't find any information about when it went international. So if you can tell me when it started airing in Spain, that would be appreciated, because it will help me place this one better. Alright, then August 30th, Dark Moons of Slough. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. September 19th, Too Big to Be a Jockey. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. December 4th, The Hare Who Wore a Sweater. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted, and is stated to be winter, so it makes sense for it to be December. And then December 11th, Once Upon a Time I Killed Mother. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. And then now we're on to 2023. February 16th, Bus. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. And the ages of AJ's character, roommate, line up with it being 2023. Then March 12th, All Eyes on Nigel. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. April 1st. This, I think, was the first ever Patreon exclusive long form, which is The Nun and the Monkey, where there is this nun, obviously, who originally was a part of lived with her parents in a traveling monkey zoo, and I think they're in Spain. Now I'm saying it out loud. I don't know what Spain's laws are in references to like zoos and circuses, and I assume this, maybe that's why it's a zoo and not a circus, so it circumvents any laws surrounding circuses. Because I know in the UK it's illegal, and by the time 2023 rolled around, it's definitely illegal to have like circus animals. So yeah, just spitballing here, it might take place a different time if Spain has like laws against like circuses involving animals. I probably should have looked that up. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. Editing Milo here at proof that I'm actively editing. Just to say that I did look it up, and it seems that in Spain, circus animals were seemingly banned in March 2023, which would have been a month before when I'm setting this long form. So feasibly, the way you could explain that away is that they changed it from a circus to a zoo to circumvent it, like I said. Yeah. Or it's just set before March 2023. Which, I don't know if, does that affect the placement? Give me a minute, I need to check the document. Alright, I checked the document. It wouldn't actually seemingly affect its placement that much either, so it could feasibly still take place in where it is wise. It would be in March instead of on April 1st. So do you know, me putting it when it was filmed instead of when it was uploaded probably benefited for it. I can't remember off the top of my head when it was uploaded, but yeah. So DLDR, whatever the equivalent of that is when with speaking. Spain does have a law against animals with zoos, but either way, it doesn't affect Longform's placement that much. But basically, the nun, but going back to the Longform itself, the nun became disillusioned with the way her father was running this monkey circus zoo, and so because of that, she left and decided to go to, join a nunnery. That's basically it. And the mother of the nun is upset and tells the father to go get her back. And the events go off from there. And this wasn't actually posted on April 1st. It was filmed on April 1st. So I'm not particularly sure why I've put it here instead of when it was posted. Because I've not really done that with any other long form. But there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was filmed or posted, so April 1st is. And then April 16th, Wild, West and Worrisome. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. And then May, another live stream long form, which was streamed 5th of November 2023, which, funny enough, is actually Tom and Pip, his wife's, wedding anniversary. So I think if you've seen those two, I think it's in both compilations of Tom and Pip. Like, I think it's called Tom Being in Love with Pip, and then the best of the Mayor Hodgsons. I think clips from this live stream make it in both of those compilations of how Tom had booked out a comedy show on his 6th anniversary. So if you've seen that, that's where that came from. So, keep that in mind if you want to watch this live stream. And then Flows Like Honey, yeah. So there's these beekeepers who I'm trying to remember specifically off the top of my head what happens. Who recently lost their wife and mother respectively, same person, due to the bees, and so because of that, now keeping the bees is uncomfortable for obvious reasons, especially considering the fact that she ended up dying due to a bee sting. So now they're considering selling, but her death might have been a bit more dubious, which means that there is a police officer now investigating them. And I have this in May because there's no reason to believe it didn't take place in 2023, but I have it in May because that's when you would harvest honey, according to the internet. And then June 4th, another live stream, which again, I forgot to get the streaming there for, but obviously I think... Oh wait, no. This is set the day it was streamed. That's why I haven't put the stream thing in. June 4th, which is, as I said, the day it was streamed, Night of the Owls, which basically that is this bird watcher who really wants to become an owl, and there's an owl who really wants to become a human, and somehow Sam's character is the only one who is high on LSD specifically, which is a nice change of pace because it's usually cocaine. Only in the Shoot from the Hip fandom could you say that sentence. But yeah, it's stated to be Pride Month, and there's references to Wikipedia and Netflix, so there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. Right, July, the milk ban. It is stated to take place in July, and there's no reason to believe it didn't take place in 2023. Right, 2nd of July, which is another live stream, the Salivating Decision, which is about this chef who's said to be Gusteau, who's trying to cook a meal for his disapproving father, who was the founder of Uber, basically. And this is the first time we see Sam play a character called Jack Chirac, though is distinctly different from the politician. Gotta be honest, the only information I know of Jack Chirac is from that scene they did and this long form, which isn't even like the politician Jack Chirac. It's set in France, which I assume is why it's Jack Chirac and not a different name. But I have it set when it was streamed because there's mentions of OnlyFans, Skype, and Zoom, so there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. Then 10th of July, July, The Excited Chinchilla. I did have this take place in the 90s to try and make sense of Tom's character being a World War II veteran, but with Theresa May and this trust being either mentioned or just showing up, it has to take place during the modern day, so there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. I feel like Shoot from the Hip needs to realise how old World War II references would be, World War II veterans, would be at this point, because they do come up a lot, but we will see. And then August 23rd, in Edinburgh Fridge Show, The Suspicious Creme Brulee. This is about they do restaurants a lot in another French restaurant where the Age's character is simultaneously both the head waiter and the head chef, and so he's completely like overworked while the owner is busy having sex with his wife, basically. And also their son disappeared. Well, his son, her stepson, disappeared over suspicious circumstances, and later on, the main chef cook ends up getting invited to the top of the Eiffel Tower at midnight or late in the night. So I don't know if you're allowed to climb the Eiffel Tower that late. I've never been to France, so if you are from France or have been to France, specifically Paris and the Eiffel Tower, could you please tell me if you're able to go onto the Eiffel Tower that late? It would be interesting. But I have it on August 23rd because there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. And another Edinburgh Fridge Show, My First Bra, which is about, funnily enough, the main character waking up one morning and having boobs, and so she has to go get her first bra. And you think that would be a kind of boring story? It's a lot more interesting thing. If you've seen the clip of Luke pulling down Tom's trousers at an Edinburgh Fringe show, it's from this. It's from My First Bra, and I won't say anymore because it goes on a wild ride. But there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was filmed, because I think it's another one that I put on it filmed. Okay. October 1st, another live stream, which again taking place on the day it was streamed, the Angel Massacre, which is about a group of angels who aren't who I think are demons, but not necessarily, who have, upon the death of a priest, are getting ready to invade Earth. But yeah, there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. Alright, then 2024, February 4th, the Evil Make-A-Wish Kid. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. And then another live stream show that was live streamed on the same day that Evil Make-A-Wish Kid was posted is Ottomore, which is about this character who's wanting to move out of his childhood home known as Ottomore, because he and his wife are now expecting their first child, and he doesn't want them to grow up in Ottomore because it's not very safe. But the main character's dad convinces him to, at the very least, attend the Otter Ball one last time with his wife, and then they can go. It is stated to be 2024, so there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. Then in April, another Edinburgh Fridge Show, Drama at Till 4, which is about a cashier finding out that her daughter has a boyfriend and that they are potentially about to have sex for the first time. And they are 16, and she is worried that her daughter is going down the same path that she did and will end up pregnant at 16, like her. It is stated that the characters have their GCSEs coming up, which is like the main big exams in England, and the exams start in May, So it made sense to set it in April, and there's no reason why it wouldn't take place the year it came out. Right. And the next long form is a stream. Another stream, which I put the day it was streamed, which is the 7th of April, a tragic miracle in cell 73, which is where two inmates, there are only two inmates in this entire prison. One of them got in because he apparently murdered three people with a hat, and then 3 or 4 people, I can't remember specifically, and then another character who pirated Finding Nemo. And they are plotting to escape cell 73. And there's reference to the pandemic, and there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. And then June 9th, The Lighthouse. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted, but I feel like it could be earlier. Like, seriously, I feel like this could take place like in the 1920s or like 1950s, but I just have zero evidence for it, which is annoying. So for now, it's just going to stay in 2023 on June 9th. Right, July 7th, the Prime Minister's first day. Our current Prime Minister took office on the 5th, so in my mind, in this world, James would have taken his place instead. And the long form starts on the first day, and on his first day, and takes place over the next couple of days, hence the 7th. And then the next play, which is another long form. The next long form, which is another stream. I've got which streamed on the 5th of July 2024, which I've got on the 8th of July, which is the first rounds on You, which is about these two brothers who are like really mastered poker players, and one of the brothers' sons is the pilot for the king, and ends up crashing, which kills both him and the king. And so now the brothers have to play a poker game to decide who will like lead the country. I have it set on the 8th because I find it funny that after everything that happened in the Prime Minister's first day, that the king would end up dying the next day. That is literally the only reason. There is no evidence that it wouldn't take place any other way. Yeah. August, the unrelated aubergine. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place the year it was posted, but I have it in August because it's the middle of the time you typically harvest aubergines, late July to early October. And then we have the 1st of August, which another Edinburgh Fringe show, which is I Killed the Mockingbird, which is about this boy who killed a mockingbird on CCTV, but claims that it was because of a demon. But everyone around him, including his mother, thinks it's because he's a psychopath. So he ends up getting sent to this school to like try and like correct his behavior. And there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. And then the 8th, another Edinburgh Fringe show, the Brooklyn Bloodbath, which is about these this gang has taken over like most of like pretty much all of Brooklyn, and because of that, the main character's dad has killed himself. The main character then flees to his best friend, and his best friend's mum, who he still lives with. I think they're fairly young. They're still in high school, I think. To like comfort and help, and like proclaims how they need to do something and save them. And then it's revealed that the mum used to be Batman, basically, and so because of that, she entrusts these two boys to become the new Batman. And because the main character's name is Christopher Robin, and then they hunt down the gang. Now, I did think that maybe it was set like a bit earlier than the 8th, a bit earlier than 2024, because there is mention of one of the main character's mums the one who used to be Batman, serving 2 war tours in Europe. This could easily be in reference to the World Wars or Iran, so there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. There's been a lot of wars in Europe. 25th, sorry, to the 25th of August, Toby's Secret Pocket. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. Then we have another, and then we have another live stream, which streams September 1st, which is when I'm placing it, Tango at the Rugby Club. I have it, which this is about a young boy who wants to take his crush, he's 11, she's 10, to the rugby club, because they're hosting a tango, and he thinks it'll be fun. And then it's revealed that Tina, the girl he has a crush on, has a very abusive mother, and is worried about being seen with him because she's not allowed to see boys. So he steals outfits for them, so that she can pretend to be a boy. And then they do end up going to the dance together, despite not actually being allowed to go to the dance because they're too young, because there's being alcohol sold on the premises. That's the main reason given. Yeah. And there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. October 14th, another live stream, The Haunting of My Heart, and this live stream has Monica Gaga in it. It's not my favourite play, not because of Monica. She was great, just I'm not that big fan of it. But basically this teacher has ended up passing away, and her husband has basically gone insane, and is trying to bring her back from the dead, and ends up kidnapping one of her students to give his soul to her to bring her back. And there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. And November 17th, strange noises from the hole in the wall. The year is stated to be 2024, and there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. And then 18, which is a stream, I think, but I can't remember what this is about. I think this potentially might, I believe, yeah, that this is set on a train where one of the main characters, played by Sam, is a mortician, and the other one is secretly a contractor who has been hired to derail the train. I think that's what this play is. I can't remember, but on the 18th of November is when it was streamed, and there's no reason to believe it didn't take place then. And then December 5th, Divorces and Teddy Bears. It is stated to be the 1st of December at the beginning of the Longform. I have it on the 5th because it made sense to me that a couple of days had passed between Mrs. Claus leaving and coming back. Also, the 5th is my birthday. And the Great Battle is stated to take place in 1024, 1,000 years before the play it takes place, cementing that it takes place in 2024. 14th of December, another live stream, The Underground Murder. This is the day it was streamed. Basically, an accountant gets kidnapped by someone he used to work with on the underground, and then this kidnapper steals his face in an attempt to sleep with his wife to get revenge for what he perceived the accountant ruining his life, as well as the fact that the accountant had slept with the killer, the guy who stole his face, his wife. I hope that made sense. And there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. Yeah. 25th of January, 2025, January 19th, Clarissa's DIY wedding. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. February 9th, the Crochet Wars. It is the live stream I mentioned at the beginning of, in the intro. So basically, there is these two older women, Ethel and Deirdre Marjorie, who are crocheting, and there's a mention of a dance coming up at their care home, and Deirdre Marjorie is encouraging Ethel to ask out another resident called Jeffrey, who is a chef. And there's a lot that goes into that. When she goes to try and do this, Jeffrey says that he wants to ask out her best friend instead, who is Deirdre Marjorie. And then the plot expands from there. Another one that I think you should go in blind. Also, in this live stream, they play a book game where they read Tom's book. And I'm very jealous of the person who owns that physical copy. I've been trying to find one for so long, but they're so expensive currently on Amazon, and I'm not paying just under £50 for money that will not be going to Tom. Sorry, that's my frustration. But there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. I would highly suggest, if you watch any of the streamed ones, watch the Crochet Wars, Snake Hips, and the Woolen Warrior, because I think these are generally some of the best shows they've done like that on the stage that they haven't yet then turned into long forms on their YouTube channel, which is a shame. But and then March 5th, March 30th, the Hobnob Affair. This is when daylight savings was in 2025, and there's no reason to think it didn't take place in 2025. And then April, the Silly Elephant. In 2019, the UK government passed the Wild Animals in Circuses Act, banning the use of wild animals in travelling circuses, and I feel that if an elephant and a parrot were revealed to both be sentient and hate being in the circus, that this would directly contribute to the act being passed, in the similar way to the Chimney Sweeping Act earlier. And since the last scene took place 6 years later, I've placed it here in 2025. 6th, the 6th of April, another live stream, the NDA that was made to be broken. This long form is about the Oompa Loompas taking all of the British workers' jobs at the chocolate factory due to tariffs. Yeah, and there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. 27th, sorry about my nan. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. 11th of May, the creek in the attic. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. I wish we knew Melissa Nelson's age, because that definitely would have helped cement when the time period was. But we'll have to wait to. I suppose they might mention it in when they eventually get around to reacting to it, which will probably be in the 2040s. I don't know. And then next, Longform, which is another stream, 18th of May, the Keyless Gate, which is where this archaeologist is taking his nephew back to a site that he couldn't that has the Keyless Gate in it. Because he wants to finally complete this archaeological find that he wasn't able to before, and and Ada's character supports it being character's age supports it being 2025, and there's no reason why it wouldn't be set when it was streamed. June, Green Leaves on a Summer's Day. There's no reason to believe that it didn't take place the year it was posted, but I have it in June because this is when Americans finish school for summer, and it would make a bit more sense for Ada's character to have her son doing homework if school had just let out, but it could feasibly take place at any point during the American summer. And then June 8th, another live stream, which is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So this British family has come to America in an attempt to get more money to be able to pay for a surgery to help with their daughter's condition. Yeah, and you know they must be desperate because they came from England and went to America. And there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. And then the 9th of June, The Enigma of the High Visionary. All the Star Wars references are up to date with 2025, besides The Mandalorian Season 2, so there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. Right. 30th. Another Patreon exclusive play, The Badger Chronicles, which is a long form about a man dealing with alcoholism and substance abuse and wanting to try and get better for himself, his friends, and his family. Due to his addiction, he became addicted. He ended up borrowing money from some dangerous people, and now he's trying to get the money back. Oh, and they're also all sentient animals. Yeah. As you can tell by called The Badger Chronicles. Yeah, why have I set a long form of sentient animals in the middle of just a seemingly normal timeline? Well, originally I did think this was set in the far future due to the fact that there's talking animals with their own society. But when it's mentioned that Denise, a rabbit, bribed the Prime Minister to cull the badger population, it's implied that the PM is human, because a human is more likely to get away with something like that than another animal, suggesting that humans are just living alongside these sentient animals, and there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. The way you could explain there being sentient animals alongside humans is the superfood from the hare who wore a sweater. That made the hares more intelligent. If it got to other animals, it's entirely possible that they would form their own society. And in the final scene of The Hare Who Wore a Sweater, AJ's character seems to be able to understand what Luke's hare character was saying. So it's not a leap to say that Denise would bribe a human PM. I would love to hear your thoughts. Because also feasibly, it could go at the very end of the timeline after humanity's destroyed itself. No. July 20th, I don't want to visit Grandma. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. Now, August 3rd, we buried the wrong guy. The use of cell phones and the mention of Minecraft content creators suggests it's modern day, though it could be the 2010s as well. So there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. Now, for the third and final, for now, part of my headcanon. That links Marigold's Bluebells and Hugh, Priscilla's Final Petal, The Office Affair, and We Buried the Wrong Guy. I headcanon that Darcy and Albert's other mum is an aged-up Priscilla. The main reason I headcanon this is because of Albert's negative association with flowers, i.e. ripping them up and lacing them with poison. That I think he inherited from Priscilla. Now, if my bio-mum raised from the dead and possessed me to kill my dad and attempted to kill my stepmom because of a flower, I would probably associate awful things with them from now on. And Priscilla said that when she's sad, she likes to tear off the petal flowers. It's entirely possible that she was doing this even before she had the buttercup, and continues to do so with other flowers for the rest of her life. Albert would have grown up seeing this and adopting it, as most kids do with their parents' behaviours. The reason that Priscilla's final petal taking place in 1922 is relevant to this is because I think that because of their experiences during hyperinflation, Priscilla's mum would want to move away to start anew, and they may have been kicked out by the new Earl of Saxony. She probably would have avoided England because Priscilla's German, and she would worry about the xenophobia that was caused by World War I, even if it was a few years out, and doesn't want to subject her daughters to that. And if Lady Langbrook was in Germany during World War I, I'm sure she would have experienced xenophobia herself. So instead, she decides to head to America, falling for the whole land of the free stick. There, Priscilla grows up, meets Joe, gets married to him, has Albert and Darcy, and probably other kids as well, and most likely dies either in childbirth or of an unspecified illness when Darcy is young enough that she wouldn't remember her having two mums. And then the events of The Office Affair and We Buried the Wrong Guy take place 52 years apart, obviously. So basically, I headcanon that Johnny Jr. / Big Jimmy is the descendant of the Bluebell King. I hope that makes sense. Here is a family tree I made. And if you want to read about that family tree, I have a fan fiction currently up called Family Lines, which has 3 chapters. I don't know when I'm going to write the 4th because but I am planning to write it at some point. I'll link that in the description as well. But I would love to hear your thoughts, because generally I'm very happy with this headcanon, and I'd like more people's thoughts on it. Yeah, so 18th of August, Mysteries of the Deep, which is another live stream which takes place on a submarine with these 3 scientists. One is hearing voices, and so because of that, of potentially a sea creature that they are slowly, and he's hearing the voices more often the further down they go. And there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. Now, 27th of August, another Patreon exclusive longform, The Beekeeper's Revenge. There's no reason to believe, The Beekeeper's Revenge, another beekeeper longform, and funnily enough, another longform when Tom, playing a female character, ends up dying due to a bee-related accident. Where she ends up getting stung by a bee, which she is deathly allergic to, which ends up killing her. She was the fiance of the beekeeper who owned the bees, and due to the beekeeper code, he now has to relinquish his bees to his stepfather. And his mum has Alzheimer's. That is referenced, and I think originally it was to explain away why Sam didn't realize that a time skip had occurred, and I really like Sam's character in this. Probably one of my favorite ones he's done, for no apparent reason. But there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. Now, 31st, The Screams of the Damned. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. And then September, I have The Lollipop Lady's Revenge. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place the year it was posted, but it wouldn't make sense for it to have it in August because it takes place during the school year, and the school year in the UK starts with September. Hence it being in September. Now, September 29th, Sins of the Gardener. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place the year it was uploaded, but it would take place on the 29th of September because that's the day before matriculation at Oxford takes place. October 5th, The Game of Truth and Tea. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. November 2nd, The Last Lullaby. There's no reason to take place. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. On the 23rd of November, which is another live stream, The Scrabble Tile in the Stomach. A father takes his son to the hospital because his son has swallowed a Scrabble piece. The doctor says that it's fine, it'll pass in a couple days. Just keep an eye out, obviously. And then, but pivots as to why he ate the Scrabble piece to begin with, which turns into a psychological evaluation, especially when he ends up eating a crow plushie, which the audience provide. And also his dad's Christopher Nolan. They make references to Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey soon coming out, so there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was streamed. And then December 21st, An Assassin's a Nightmare. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. In the public long form, you'll see the big Edinburgh special that they uploaded. That includes the chimney one and An Assassin's Nightmare. I put when the chimney one takes place. That's because I'm more concrete there on that date than I am on this one. Now, December 22nd, another Patreon exclusive play from Under the Crimson Sky. So there is this dad and he's dying, and he warns his sons not to go to the house due to the howls. Floyd, one of the sons, doesn't listen, ends up going to the house to try and get the money from the house. And there's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. Now, I'm not sure when this. I know it probably takes place in December. That next one, which is a live stream, but the problem is it's a time travel story, so it could feasibly take place anywhere. Well, we don't have like a concrete thing of like when the first and last scenes, when the back and the presents take place. But basically, there's a time traveler going back in time to try and like find the cure for his condition before the cure was lost to time. Along the way, they accidentally end up picking up Mary and Joseph while they're heading to Bethlehem because they accidentally killed their donkey. And hijinks ensued. I really loved this play, and I think it was probably the first live stream I watched live. And it's really sweet. And we have this sweet moment between Joseph and baby Jesus, which I never thought I'd say. But yeah, I have it on the 25th of December, and I think it's stated to be December, but I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure it takes place in December at the very least, which I can't remember if I said the play or not. It's the best out of a series of bad options, which originally streamed on the 14th of December 2025. Now, 2026 January 11th, Inside the Mirror, which is another live stream. This couple is moving into a new house, but when the wife tries to get into the attic, she ends up coming back downstairs, and let's say 30 years have passed, and the plot, and her husband does not recognize her, and it freaks her out. Then later, the husband ends up going into the past when the house was first built. Right, and there's no reason to believe this didn't take place when it was streamed. Right, 18th of January, The Glass Eye. There's no reason to believe it didn't take place when it was posted. Now, June 2026, another Patreon exclusive play, which is The Beach with No Sand. A couple from Australia flee to Brighton to escape a mob boss because one of them accidentally ended up killing the mob boss's favorite child with his car. Yeah. We're told it takes place in Pride Month, and there's no reason it wouldn't take place in 2026. Now, future long form, technically The Beach with No Sand is also a future long form, but like since it's going to be June next month, it's going to be June next month as of filming, obviously. Jesus Christ. But I'll dwell on the passage of timeline now. But future stuff that will take place recently. I have 2028 December, Inside the Mysterious Cube. Since the security guard says he served 3 US presidents, including Obama, who we know has been dead for 12 years at this point, and it's safe to assume that he died the last year he was in office, 2016. And we know the current president is Biden, and we know who was between those two. It's safe to say this Longform likely takes place in 2028. It's safe to say that Biden got both his second term and most likely had his term extended due to the war with the cubes. I think that's how American law works. My only point of reference is when Roosevelt's term got extended during World War II. If I'm wrong, Americans, please tell me. Obviously, I'm not American, so I won't know. But because Bubba says he didn't vote for him, which is why I think Biden's term got extended. But I doubt that as a gay man, Southern or otherwise, he would willingly vote for a Republican from everything I know about American politics, which I think is a fair thing to think. Now, 2050, The Case of Sergeant Sprinkles, which is a Patreon exclusive play. It is stated to take place in 2055 and what has happened is that a second American Civil War has started. Not because of race, thankfully, it's because of a nuclear explosion on the Mason-Dixon line that the South and North blamed each other for. And it's really good. You should watch it. And I think it's one of the main reasons a lot of people got Patreon was specifically for this long form. Right, so now 2079. No, I always loved that caravan. And the reason I have it here is because Marjorie, Luke's character from the first scene, Sam's character's mum, says that she is the great-granddaughter of Arthur Scargill. Arthur Scargill is a real person who is currently, present day, as of recording, still alive. And he's in his 90s. So, with that in mind, I used the fact that Scargill's real-life daughter was born in 1962 as a baseline. Since she's a boomer, I looked up the average age boomers were having kids, which was 25. So I had the hypothetical child, Marjorie's parent, born in 1987, which would make them a millennial, which means Marjorie would have been born in either the 2010s or 2020s, for her to be Scargill's great-granddaughter. For the sake of math simplicity, I had her born in 2020. And judging off of current trends in birth, I had Sam's character be born in 2055 when Marjorie would have been 35. This would make Sam's character 24 in 2079, which to me feels like a good age to start making films after university. Obviously, if you're a film student, please disagree, and it could take place when he's like, 21, 22. But yeah, and I know the American character that Sam says that about American history only existing for like 200 odd years, but if you want Sam's character to be the great-grandson of Arthur Scargill, he need to have been born in 2055 or like around that year. Next play, which is another Patreon exclusive long form. Oh, I forgot to mention, I got a straw for my drink because I'm wearing lip balm and I don't want to stain it. Right. So next is a Patreon exclusive long form which I have in 2097 is She Came From Beyond, which is where these two scientists and a robot are transporting something, I can't remember specifically what, and in space. Then the ship ends up stopping in like an asteroid field and end up being boarded by this entity and then tormented by her. And I have it in 2097 because Luke's character in this is very similar to the character he plays in Murder in Space, to the point where he could either be the same character or that character's son. If he is that character's son, then he would have to be at least 34 because that's the average age for astronauts. I believe he would be 34 in 2097, which will make more sense with Murder in Space's placement. And so the next play, 2107, Murders in Space, which would have started in 2077. So the year that the mission was originally launched, and Cletus was sentenced would have been 2077. Now, the reason I've got that is because we know that Cletus Jackman was born in 2037, and the average age of a male serial killer is 35 to 45. So for simplicity's sake, we're going to say he was 40 when he was sentenced. That would make the year 2077, when the mission first launched and Cletus was sentenced. Since he says that his sentence was 30 years, that the last scene with Tom's character was 30 years after the mission was launched, it must take place in 2107. If the starting year is 2077, then Luke's character's son is 14, that would mean Luke's character's son would have been 34 in 2097. And because like the time dilution and seemingly at the end of the play, James, Luke's character, basically retconned the entire events of the mission not to happen. It's makes sense to me in my mind. I would love to hear your thoughts. Right, next play I have in 2117 in May, Lemons on a Plane. Now the reason I've got this here and not modern day, where I originally thought it feels very modern day, is because it is stated that Mr. Kipling, the brand, has been around for 150 years, and since it was first made available to the public in May 1967, 150 years after that is 2117. I assume Luke must have thought that Mr. Kipling has existed for since the early 1900s, and that's why he said 150. They tend to favour the year 150 a lot, right? And then the next long form after that, which is another is a Patreon exclusive, this one from the Vienna show, is Love of Black Holes and Other Problems, set in the 2500s, because it is stated in the long form that something happened in 2565, so in my mind it makes sense for it to take place from the 2500s and beyond. So in this play, two the astronaut scientists are on a ship trying to find a new destination, place for human race to be safe, because there is a black hole on the verge of consuming Earth, so they need to find a new place to settle quickly for the sake of the human race. But unbeknownst to one of the scientists, the other scientist, who is played by Tom, has been seduced by an alien in his dreams and is taking ship to their planet instead of a potentially safer one. And feasibly the next long form could take place before that, but since we don't have a date for it, I've just put it on near the end, which is Where Did the Moon Go? And frankly, looking at these two long forms, I think it makes more sense that Where Did the Moon Go comes before Love, Black Holes and Other Problems, just for the sake of the black hole consuming Earth. But sci-fi things are hard to place, so this or it could be taking place at the same time as it. But without any clear date or placement, I have decided to simply put it near the end, especially since Earth isn't phased by the existence of aliens. That's another thing. Love of Black Hole and Other Problems appears to be the first contact with aliens, though arguably you could put that the first contact with aliens being She Came From Beyond. But yeah, these two long forms could be happening at the same time. Feasibly it makes sense, I think. I don't know. And then the last long form I have in this timeline is another streamed show. This one they had a guest, and this one was also with a guest, which was with Midge. And it is The Empty Earth, which was due on the 26th of October 2025. This takes place after an apocalyptic event, so it made sense to place it at the end. I think The Empty Earth and apocalyptic event kind of just sums up the long form as it is anyway, so I don't even think I need to go into more detail about that. And with that's the entire timeline as of filming. Obviously, when the next long form comes out, I will update the timeline accordingly. Yeah, that's everything. This took a lot. My throat hurts, and full disclosure, between the recording of the case of Sergeant Sprinkles and what was it? And no, I always loved that caravan. I had to take a 3-hour break of filming because my phone ran out of storage, and the only way to get rid of the storage was to get rid of the video, like the original video that I filmed this time, which was like nearly 2 hours long. And I don't hassle to try and so I had to wait 3 hours to upload it to YouTube, private obviously. If I'm doing this again, I'm gonna make it a yearly thing, purely because of how much, like, I've got over 2 hours of raw footage from just this alone. Yeah, I feel tired. I have to edit this. God. Ugh, this is exhausting. But you know, here we are. I chose this. No one to blame but myself. Pretty sure that's everything. As I said in the beginning, go watch Lock Stock if you haven't already. It's good. We've only got the first 2 episodes as of recording, and the first 10 minutes of the 3rd episode on the Roll From It Patreon, as I said, as of recording. Yeah, I don't know if anyone was wondering this, but the reason I didn't put the D&D stuff is because that feels very, very separate and very blatantly sets in a world with its own rules. While I'm able to like find a way to explain away, like, I could maybe fit in Playground, then that would be like September 2025, because the curses, and not that many people know about the curses to begin with, bar the people affected by them, so that could really fit in. But I have no idea how I would fit Lock Stock in, because it's a fantasy setting, but also with like semi-modern stuff. I say, like, at the latest, it's probably like the 1930s in England, but I guess it could technically take place after Bard with a Scar, but before Caesar and Juliet, if you want to fit that in. There you go. Bonus placements for it. But again, I think that the D&D stuff and the Longform is very separate from each other. But you got your bonus placements. I'm rambling because I'm tired and I'm dreading having to edit this, but thank you for watching. I have no idea how long this video will be, but if you've gotten this far, thank you. I really appreciate it. I put a lot of effort into this, and I hope it made more sense than the original video, because I was rambling a lot. And I hope for the sake of my editing, because of me like scripting stuff now, that it'll just be easier for editing stuff. And I'll just have to add in like the pictures and the music and stuff, and like transitions obviously. But yeah, that's everything. Bye.